Hello everyone! How are you? Do you have a good day? Fabulous. Well, we're here tonight to actually introduce a little bit of different things. Not only the wonderful award ceremony that we have for you guys, but we also would like to make sure that we present a little bit of all the beautiful things that the Prestige Love has to offer as well. Okay? Now, so what I'd like to do is to show you a little bit of how we come up with the ideas, where we find the inspiration from everything. And basically, if we go into a lot of the ideas of the books, it's how we pay attention to the strength, the male and the female. We also want to look at a little bit of the ideas of, as you can see, the design, the architecture, feeling, hair, makeup, color. Now, the main portion of this is that we find sources of inspiration from so many different places. In magazines, from architects, you can see these beautiful array of lines. Now, what we also find in here is in the architecture, and especially the ones made of plants, we have a beautiful combination, more or less, of the strong hardship of things, but also you will simply find the beautiful, soft, dazzling elegance of everything. Okay? Now, continue with this a little bit. You also see that we find a lot of the inspiration from strong masculine shapes, but also combining them quite strongly and quite interestingly with a lot of feminine touches into it. That makes everything quite interesting, as I say. Continuing on with the story a little bit, and that is dealing with the masculine strength, almost checkerboards, the prints, but also adding on a little bit of that to make it a little bit more interesting, formatted, but also adding a tiny bit of ruffle and flowers in there that just makes it very different. Now, going through the magazines, we'll also see that we see quite a bit of different arrays of colors and splatter textures and motions and movements within this as well. Now, moving on to this, what makes it fun is that you see those strong, soft, generic shapings that we find in here, but there also is quite a bit of small details involved, and that details is what makes that interesting, elegant owner really to come across quite a bit. Okay? Now, this is a beautiful source of inspiration because I think we all remember her as a phenomenal, beautiful fashion icon, but also she was very kind, charitable woman that did so much for humanity in her lifetime as well. So people like that is not only about the looks, but it's also about the emotion and the person presenting it, being the person itself. Now, also looking at this, that makes it really interesting, I have to say, because not only do we look at the femininity, but dressing the woman as a man to make it more transgender, but in a very feminine way. And that makes it really interesting. And also you can see the amount of details that is involved with all of this that makes it quite interesting actually. Now, going into this, you can see that the whole story that we're talking about being dazzled, I think this image kind of sort of explains itself. And that is to have that over-accessorized, overdone, little details, but yet again, extremely generic and streamlined shapes in all of the presentation of it. Now we also see a little bit of the feeling. Vivid colors you also find, and a little bit of what we bring this in is because you see gray, very colorful cross, but a lot of blacks and whites, but we also add a lot of reds into this to have that really geometric touch, a cluster of color that creates a strong focus shade into the entire design thinking. Now, also looking a little bit at the idea of mints, where you also get that little bit of a damping look, okay? So you get that transcendent, very streamlined, very soft, very suave and elegant. Okay? So give you a little bit of an idea. Let me click through a few images here to give you a tiny bit of a feeling, the essence that goes through, that we do have all of this softly laced sensation, streamlined forms, very body type, very shapely, or they have also a lot of prints and patterns, like the lace, involved as well, just to make sure that we get that sunny touch of femininity. geometric constructions. Okay? We also see that in the pleating, we see that in the fabric and the way it's cut to the dress that makes it really, really tight and very strong. Those big little patterns that you see in color that is placed into this really makes a graphic implementation in the entire idea of how to build this collection actually. And you'll see quite a bit of that in the hair as well. A big combination of those streamlined, strong, sleek textures, with big patches, architecturally drawn nice lines within the hair that has been sculpted out in a very detailed and very feminine shape that makes it really fun. Now, going into a little bit more of the hair, so you can see fairly luscious, a little bit of sensation that is quite overdone. And that's what we do like about all this stuff. Now, as you can see also with the color, we talk about a lot of the dip dye colors these days. For example, you do have that intense base, but you also have that really vivid sensation of a very contrasting color at the ends. Now, a lot of that is also been used in this collection, but you'll see it's going to be done in a slightly different format, just to add a little bit different touch to it, actually. Also, we can see a little bit of the curls in there, but it's very detailed, very distinct, very formed, and that's basically what we like about it. Also, the cleanliness of the dressing in these areas is also something that we've looked into quite a bit. Whereas, like, you do see graphic implications, even if the dress is extremely soft and movable and those are the things that we really paid attention to quite a bit. Okay? Now, as it comes to makeup, so not only does the clothing has this really strong, intense breaking of patterns and bold prints, all of this, the hair, but also is brought into the makeup. As you can see, extremely shiny, quite overdone. Plenty of details involved, but you can also see all those little tiny lines in there. Quite vivid, actually. Okay? And to just give you a little bit of the idea, going through, we do see that we have architectural shapes, and that's what I talked about, streamlined geometry. But we do have to look at the architecture look. It's not just a building, it's distorted buildings that you get qualities of shape, something that is quite different, that makes it really quirky looking. You know what I'm saying? There's like, you have pieces that should fall together, should not fall together. And those are things that we do have to pay attention to a little bit. Masculinity of everything that I represent, not. More or less the masculinity shaping of all things is to get that transgender mix, to have a very masculine sensation with a very nice and beautiful feminine touch to it that makes it quite fun actually. Okay? As you can see, generally, the whole story has been based in the 1920s with the little A-line dresses, very geometrically done. But you also have very intermixed sensations, both from the 80s and from the 90s. The 80s representing all the sparkles and all the motions and the movements. We do have the 90s with all the stretches from Ramari, the very hairy chic looks and all of this. So all of these things has been slowly but softly incorporated basically in this entire collection. Okay? Which means mixing up all the trends is what makes it fun, because it's the collage. It's like making a mood board when it comes to fashion. Taking bits and pieces from all of these different areas, putting them together in a mumble jumble to create one complete look is basically the idea behind all of this. Okay? So, going back to a little bit of the idea of the reference of color. Going in, as you can see, graphic printing, very strongly done, as I mentioned before, in black and white. Alright? We also see those masculine shape, the army suits, the uniform sensation of looks, but also having those belts, you have patches, you have certain areas that really brings across that interest level of that strong, intense color line. Okay? Going through a little few ideas of how people and beautiful and wonderful designers have picked up on these ideas in their collections themselves. Okay? A lot of the shiny materials, that essence of red and intense and brought into it as well. Lights, you have leather outfits, you have a little bit of mixtures of beautiful textures and fabrics going through the entire line. Okay? Beautiful decorated designs. So as I mentioned, those beautiful haircuts with the lines and shapes that you'll see in a few minutes are basically drawn from inspiration from all of these clothing where you find these beautiful sensations of boards basically placed into the clothing. Now, look at this. Do you like this? It's nice, huh? So a lot of this stuff that goes into, as I said, how do you go out into the ideal place? You also have this, you see, and that is to create that tiny bit of an offset motion. Because you have those structured forms, the glitz, the glamour, and then that softness, just play with everything. You kind of offset your balance a little bit. That makes those, draws the attention kind of sensation. Those are the key points that makes it fun in working with collectionable work. Okay? Now also you see from Alexander, all those reds, big geometric shapes, cleaner ideas. And also when it comes to, of course, accessorize. Lovely, and we all love to accessorize. So all of the accessories, as you can see, are extremely gaudy, very glittery, extremely overdone. And those are things that contains quite a bit of those details, as I mentioned in the very beginning of the presentation as well. Okay? And let's dive into how this collection looks. And as you can see with the clothing, all the beautiful details, streamlined, strong structured hair, very clean. Okay? And you also see that red, you have the bells, you have the strong contrast, the big geometric shapings, the clean, very strong, streamlined sensations of hair as well. Beautiful lines. And as you can see, that really popping, very intense sensation of makeup that goes into this whole format, whipped together with those black and white prints, that gets that sensation of overwhelmingness. Also going into all these beautiful, beautiful pieces, color work. You know, we work with the tapes to get those mixtures. So now we're keeping it clean, mixing it up a little bit to still have those splashes of details and patterns erratically placed into the entire line. Makes it absolutely phenomenal. Those really streamlined, and this is really one of the points where you can see where you take the masculine dandy look and place it into a female construction where it's like you get a little bit of that transgender feeling as well, keeping it very solid in color, giving it a little bit of that maxi to it, making it look fairly masculine, but it makes it really fun. And of course, as we mentioned before, all the fur, all the textures, all the movements is something that needs to be placed into the hair as well. And by doing so, obviously dealing with either dreadlocks, you have the braids, you have so many beautiful different sensations that you can play with. What we choose to work with is obviously having a combination and constant rope effect that has been distorted as well. Okay? So a lot of different ideas that we can play with this. Getting this, texture washes, nice, huh? And this is what I was talking about, getting all those fantastic braids in there, but also having those stubby, offsetting textures that just distorts the vision, that makes it classically great. And that would be pretty much it. Are you guys ready to see a little bit of the show? Then let me invite Irina's team and let me show you the models. Have a great evening, you guys.